Welcome back everyone to another episode of the Talking Table Podcast. Today we will be going through some questions that we think about during the shower. These are just interesting questions that we think about. We don't think that we're not professionals by any means, but we just think that these questions might be interesting to explore. So the first one that I want to ask you to, what is absolute? What is absolute? Is there such thing as absolute?
I mean,
A word. It's a word.
It's a word.
I don't know, Santi. What do you think it is?
Well, there has to be an absolute, no? Like there has to be one truth. And that's proven by, what was that? What were the famous words? Cogito ergo sum. I think therefore I am. Like,
Yeah, but
consciousness is proof that there is something there. So therefore there has to be some absolute. I think it was like that. I haven't done in-depth research, but it was something like that. So there has to be an absolute, but almost everything.
Doesn't that mean the perceived truth is just subjective? Like what we perceive. It's really subjective. So there actually like isn't a truth if you think about it.
What do you mean?
Like what may be true to others isn't true to you, or vice versa.
Well, is 1 + 1 2 always? Is 1 always equal to 1? Are there not some principles that are always true? Would those not be absolute?
Would they?
I mean, 1 will always equal to 1, right? Unless you divide by 0, which is not allowed.
Until it is disproved.
Pardon?
Well, I'm not saying it's not true at the moment. Right? I think it is, but like scientific theories are constantly being disproved, right? And so what was true, like say 100 years ago, 200 years ago, is not true today because with
right. But theory is based on perception, right? I'm not talking about these scientific theories. I'm talking about there are some principles that predate scientific theory. Some principles like 1 is not equal to 2, 1 is equal to 1. The rule of contradiction. Those are always true. Those you would say absolute. But if you talk about theories, you're talking about perception, right? You're talking about what you see, what you sense with your 5 senses, and the ideas you get from those put together. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you guys think?
okay, I kind of like, how Josh says something about perception. Well, I agree with him. I do think our perception is all very subjective, but I think there is like an absolute truth out there. But like, however, we can't really perceive it. So I guess I'm trying to say that we humans cannot really know what the absolute truth is, but I do believe there is one. Does that make sense?
Isn't that what Descartes said? Like, we sense the world through our 5 senses, but these 5 senses are unreliable.
Yeah, Descartes does say that.
He also said cogito ergo sum. No, but I guess like there is an absolute truth, but we just can't be sure, right? Like there are some abstract concepts, like 1 is not equal to 1. Those we can. We're for sure, like we're sure of that. But our physical or like surroundings, everything, these things that we pick up through our senses, it's like we can't tell, we can't be 100% certain that they are true.
Yeah, I agree. Wait, Josh, something and I discussed this before, but like, do you know how like there's like that thing where like the way we perceive color may be different among different people, but we can't really prove that? Have you like heard of that?
Oh yeah, I have.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's
kind of like
kind of interesting.
Like
we all agree it's that color, but then the actual color that we see might be different.
It could be different. We spent like 2-3 days trying to explain it to someone.
But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you're seeing as long as it's like agreed upon that it's this.
Yeah.
Right?
It's okay, but then isn't that like the difference between meaning and truth? Like the truth, like the absolute truth can be different, but the applications of that truth is like, it's like meaning. It doesn't really matter if we see see it differently as long as there's like the use of it, right? The way that we use it is the same. Like there's a practical purpose, in my opinion, at
Well,
least.
yeah, if it's like, agreed upon
Yeah.
that something
Yeah.
is something,
Yeah. Because
even
like
though we perceive it differently, as long as we all perceive it to be the same thing, then there's really no problem.
exactly. And the thing about color, that applies the same to smell, applies the same to sound, all of our senses. It can all be different. And another thing is
Exactly.
you can't prove anyone else is conscious. I can prove to myself I'm conscious because I'm thinking, but I can't prove to myself either of you are conscious. The same way I can't prove to you I'm conscious. But the way that society has to function is we have to assume that each person has their own consciousness. Right? That's again the difference between meaning and truth.
And then I can bonk you on the head with a baseball bat, and I can prove that you're unconscious.
Can you prove I'm unconscious?
Oh, you know
Go
how
on.
Oh, you know how like Descartes was like we can't trust our senses. However, he said like we can like come to like the truth. I'm not sure, but did he say we can come to the ultimate truth through through reasoning? Was that what he said, or am I like wrong? I'm not sure.
It's just like I think like the way that he started his reasoning is like cogito ergo sum. Like the thinking is the only thing I can trust,
Mhm.
and then from there on, that was like how he moved his axiom or whatever.
Yeah, do you think that's like a reasonable, like explanation for this? Like, do you think that's reasonable?
But things like without your five senses, like these theoretical things, they can't lead very far though.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
principle 1 is not equal to 1. Okay, how are you gonna apply that if you can't add anything to it? That's like in my opinion. Josh, I gave you Descartes' Meditation. Have you read it?
No, I haven't. I've got better things to do.
Started reading at least?
No, I just started reading like the other books I got like as gifts. Oh, but I think didn't Descartes also talk about like dualism or something? Do you know about that?
Duels?
Explain.
Dualism.
Oh, dual. Yeah, explain that.
Like two things are like really distinct, and they can like. So, for example, like God is distinct from humans. So, and like the body and the mind are like really distinct from one another. I don't really know that much about it. I just remembered that it was something he talked about.
Yeah, I don't remember much about that either. I think Descartes is just mainly known for his like, I think therefore I am, like that concept. I'm not sure about his other ones, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm not a philosopher. Like I'm not gonna claim I'm Aristotle 2.0, but like these are interesting things to think about, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. It is, yeah.
Moving on, the next.
Sorry, yeah, what?
You finish your thought first.
Oh no, I wasn't gonna say anything. It's okay, Sante.
Okay, the next thing we want to explore is this is a pretty common thought among current teenagers. People say that things are not permanent. That's a universal truth. Everything will degrade. Everything will move on. You'll die. The things you create, they're gonna fade away, whatever. If there's this sense of impermanence, then is there really meaning in life? Is there any meaning at all if whatever you do is just gonna fall apart one day?
Are you like, I mean, personally, I don't think meaning has to be like the meaning of life. I don't think it has to be like an infinite thing. It could be like short term. Like, for example, this is like kind of like a bad example, but like, wait, actually, yeah, I guess it's like we study hard for our test to like get a good mark, but like that mark isn't really, like gonna like keep us like, it's not gonna be perfect forever. Like we're gonna have to like keep learning and stuff like that. I guess it's something like that. We have like little goals in life that we all want to like just achieve. And like I guess those goals together become like our not meaning, but like it's like who we are.
Well, for me, like the meaning in life is different for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I think because life is so short and so impermanent, and the things in it are also impermanent. So perhaps the meaning of life for some people might be to like accomplish certain things or to learn constantly in this limited span of time, or to like achieve these things
Mm-hmm.
in such a limited span of time, and that's what gives it meaning. It's what is your pursuits.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I think as well. Right? Things that are
If
beautiful,
that makes
they
any
don't have to
sense.
be beautiful forever. I think the most common example is a flower. A flower, it's gonna die within a year. It's a very, very short lifespan. But while it's alive, that flower is beautiful. That beauty doesn't need to be permanent to have meaning. The moment that the amount of time that the flower is alive, you can enjoy the beauty of that flower. Right? Isn't I
Mhm.
think the common idea of like this lack of meaning, I think it's called nihilism. Like that's what I see online, nihilism. And from what I've been told, nihilism was a misreading of the ideas of someone named Friedrich Nietzsche.
Nietzsche.
Nietzsche,
Yeah.
yes, the famous Nietzsche. God is dead and we killed him. The one who said that. The one who also said like if you gave man food and water or whatever, he'll still find like do bad things just to prove that he's a man or whatever. That Nietzsche. I think the opposite of what he said, what he truly said, right? The opposite of nihilism, what he tried to say was something called existentialism.
Right.
Existentialism.
Right.
I might be getting this whole thing wrong, so like don't quote me, okay? If you guys are doing a project, like take everything I say with a grain of salt. But existentialism, I think existentialism, it's like a person is born without any inherent purpose. Before Nietzsche, I think people believed that there was something called essence, like the true
Essence. Right.
meaning of essence. Like a knife can have a wooden hilt or a metal hilt, plastic hilt, but as long as the knife has a blade, it's a knife. Like essence. Same with humans. A human has to have this trait to have meaning. Before him, that was like the idea. But I think what Nietzsche said was people are born without essence. There is nothing inherent about a human's life. What brings meaning into a human's life is what the human what's it called feels, right? What the human puts into his own life. Because I think before that, the idea was that God created humans with the purpose, and therefore God created human with an essence. But after Nietzsche, the idea was well, okay, Nietzsche said God was dead, so obviously I
Well,
think
yeah.
I would put those two ideas, put one and one together, and say Nietzsche didn't believe in God, or not believe in God, but believe that God wasn't relevant anymore, or as relevant as before, and believe that in human life there's no divine meaning. Instead, you put meaning into your own life through free will. Does that make sense? I think I rambled too much, and we may have lost.
I think that's what it is. So, basically, existence precedes essence,
Mm,
right? And so, like, yeah, we have to put meaning into our own lives
yes,
because
exactly.
nothing is created with an inherent meaning.
What do you guys think? The meaning, the quote unquote meaning of life is.
Well, yeah, I think it's up to us to like decide what we want to do with our lives and how we want to shape our future.
True, true.
Because, well, I guess ourselves and like the people around us and what happens that also shapes,
Mm,
But
correct.
but what really matters is like the decisions we make, you know, because we have free will, we have the power to make these decisions. And so, what whether things go actually, you know what, whether things go well or not is sometimes it's based on your decisions, but sometimes it's just completely random, or it's like factors you cannot control.
Mm,
But don't you agree?
yeah,
I could have made a really good decision, but it just doesn't work out.
Josh, like what you just said in your few sentences, you went back to the idea of good, like 4 or 5 times. Like you went back to the idea of good many, many times. Do you think what to you is there a definition for good?
Oh, good is what I think is good, right? It's very subjective.
So
So
good is
it would
subjective,
be it's what it's what
but
um
can you put a
it's what
definition?
benefits me based on my values. So um good would be could you say that good is what I agree with?
Good is what you agree with. I think that's really close to my definition. Actually, I'll share it after I hear your definitions of good.
You know, for now, I'll say good is what I agree with until I find better phrasing for it.
Amy, do you have a definition for good?
Yeah, okay. So you asked this like maybe like a few months ago, and I have thought about it a bit, but I feel like the definition I came up with I'm not too happy with still. But I feel like I'm not talking about like morality, like not like what like morality. It's like I'm gonna talk about like I guess like in society. I guess like a good deed in society would be like something that brings out more. This sounds so bad, but like brings out more another like that leads to a good outcome. So like something that's desired. So a good deed in society is like something that brings a desired outcome, I guess.
Exactly. So yeah. So we basically, the three of us, we have about the same definition. I said instead of a good outcome, I said goal. Like it's relative to a goal. If you think that goal or that good outcome, it's practically it's the same thing. You have that goal, and whatever furthers you, like whatever pushes you closer to that goal, is considered to be good. So yeah, it's relative. Like we agree, good is relative. Well,
Or something that agrees with
Mhm.
or something that's coherent with your values, right? Your personal set of values.
Values goes back to goals. No.
Yeah, actually, no, you have a point there.
Yeah, I think like that's the after days
Wait,
of shower thinking.
Actually, wouldn't you?
Mhm.
Just posing a question here, but wouldn't you have sort of like set your goals based on your values, or aren't your goals based on your values?
I no, I think I would have.
No, not the other way around.
Pardon? I think
Or
goals
is it
are.
the other way around? The goals precede values, or the values precede goals.
I think my goals precede my value. What would be an example of when your values precede good? I mean, when good precedes value, or like goal.
Goals precede.
I mean, when good precedes your goals. There, I finally said it. Like, what would be one example?
So I think my. Okay, so first of all, how would you define a goal? Is it so like something you want to accomplish, or something that?
But again, I feel like there are some fundamental goals. I wouldn't say inherent goals, but some fundamental
Fundamental goals.
goals, like survive, right?
So,
Give myself food, give myself water, let me
well,
survive.
that's really not a goal. That's the that's like the hierarchy of life.
Hierarchy of needs,
So
but needs is also a goal, no?
hierarchy of needs, yes.
But a need is that not a
But those
goal?
are
You're trying to attain your need, in my opinion. That's like, and like biologically, right? Like happiness would like it would push you towards a certain direction, towards a biological goal, right?
well,
When I eat, I'm happy.
well, survival. What you mentioned, like survival. That's a physiological goal. Like not a physiological need. It's not a goal. It's a need.
Well,
So
need is
that's what characterizes life.
yes, but need is a goal, no?
No.
Amy, what do you think? Need is a form of a goal, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it is, but I feel like
These are goals. No, I wouldn't say the physiological needs are goals, like the ones that characterize life.
Because for me,
But the ones
goal is not a
in
okay,
higher up in the hierarchy of need would be goals. For example, like security of the body, or
yeah,
employment,
exactly.
resources, morality, family, like friendship,
Morality.
intimacy,
I think morality
those kind of things.
Pardon?
The things that are higher up in physiological needs being the foundation, right? I don't think there's those things are goals, but the ones that are above it in the hierarchy are goals, because they're more subjective.
I would okay, but then you'll have to define goal again, right? Because that's the problem with relative definitions. You
It's
go on to
relative definitions.
what is virtue? Virtue is when you and I share the same value. What's a value? What we see as good. What is good? Like that can go
What is good,
on
right?
if we're just using relative definitions. But
So
in my
in the end, over here, we're not trying to prove anything. We're just
We're not
sharing
okay.
our thoughts.
Remember, we are
Exactly.
only grade 11 high school students. Don't take what we say as like absolute, okay? Like,
And especially take Josh's words with a grain of salt. He doesn't know what he's talking about. It's way worse.
yes. But then, okay, yeah, okay. I think needs are a form of goal. Because for me, a goal is just something you attain. Attain needs, like you fulfill your
I
needs.
see.
That's a goal to attain, in my opinion.
Well, Amy, what do you think?
I
think
would
just,
agree with Sante. Like, because like in
I
my
think goals
opinion,
would be
goal is just something
subjective.
you wanna. Sorry, I just think goal is just something you wanna like achieve, something you wanna attain, like something said. And like I guess a need is like a need is a need, but it's also a goal. It's like something you need, but you also want it. You know?
Yes.
Well, that makes sense too. I just
Okay.
thought of goals as like something you want rather than like absolutely need.
I guess like
And so goals would be subjective, you know.
Goals,
yeah.
yes, for sure. Goals are subjective. Like that's how
But
you
then-
get different philosophies like Stoicism.
Right,
and
because
Hedonism.
because you said goals are subjective, then
Mhm.
I in my opinion, like
No, but there's a
in my
fundamental.
opinion, goals are subjective,
There's a
and so
general.
the ones that are not subjective aren't goals, right? Like
Pardon?
breathing, food, water. Like so, breathing, food, water, sleep, homeostasis, excretion. You know, those
We all
aren't
need that.
subjective. Everyone needs those, and
Mhm.
therefore they're not goals because they're not subjective.
Oh, okay, then that's like your own
Yeah.
definition for goals, right?
Well,
Okay, that makes sense.
Based on my personal definition of goals.
Mm. But then, like, okay, there are many philosophies of what is good, but the two that I hear the most are Stoicism and Hedonism. The two ideas of what is good in life. Stoicism and hedonism, I think most people know it, but I'll just go over it again. Hedonism is the idea that happiness, that desire in life is what is good. Right?
Yeah.
Whatever makes you happy, like partying all day, not doing homework, that is good because that makes you happy. And there's the other idea of Stoicism, where it's like,
Mhm.
don't want anything, don't desire anything. Put your head down, go plant your crops, and just be thankful for everything you have. And that's like
Yeah.
that's very similar to the what they call it, not pagans, Puritan societies, right? Like the Puritan societies, 1800s, like Dartmouth Rock, everything, like the witch hunts of Salem, like the people there. I'm pretty sure they were Stoics, right? Like they were Stoics in the literal sense, Stoics.
I'm pretty sure it's just like in the Puritan religion, like Stoicism was considered the. Actually, I don't know.
Like a philosophy that went with their.
Yeah, the Stoicism was part of their religion and their beliefs.
I think this will be the last question that we'll have time for. Stoicism and hedonism. Which would you guys think you guys would identify better with? Hedonism or Stoicism?
I'd say hedonism, but you guys can talk about it first.
Hedonism. Amy, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Josh. Happiness is pretty important in my life, I guess. I feel like most people nowadays think like that.
Yeah.
I'm
so
pretty sure. I don't know.
I believe there needs to be a balance, right? Of being happy and being being sustainable. Like that's what I care for. Happy.
I think. Doesn't hedonism say like pleasure has worth or value, and then the opposite of that, pain, is the opposite of value or worth.
This world will no pain. No, you guys don't know that. Okay. No,
My pain is greater than yours.
Okay, no, the thing is like I feel like there's more. Okay, what I characterize, what I think, like when I think of a hedon, I think of a person who puts off responsibilities for pleasure, a person who parties all day and doesn't do homework. I feel like that's the extreme side of hedonism, and the extreme side of a stoic is a person who doesn't party ever, doesn't see people. All he does is homework.
I don't completely agree with any of them.
Pardon?
To be honest, I don't agree with like either stoicism or hedonism.
Yeah, I don't agree with, but like would you I feel like I'm closer to the middle and leaning
for example, like specifically the statement where it's like,
but like would you say you lean close? I would assume you two, like, because based on your answers, you guys would lean towards the hedonistic side, right?
Yeah,
I would.
Because happiness is important,
yeah,
but also like the things that are unhappy, like they also have value. It's like,
but to me the things like sustainability leads to happiness. If I party like all day for 1 year in my life, like let's say my grade 12 year in high school, I don't do any homework, I'm stress-free, I'm happy, like very happy, then what's gonna happen is I'm not gonna get into a good uni, I'm not going to get a job, I'm not gonna be happy in my life because I feel like I could have done, like I could have been, remember from the careers episode, I could have become a doctor. I felt like I would have missed out on this greater good.
I
Like,
think I think like for me, it's like I like happiness is like a pretty important like thing that like drives me. But like it's not just happiness like in the present, but it's also happiness in the future. So I guess like in your case, you said like, oh, you party so much and you were happy in the present, but you're not happy in the future. Well, I would actually consider how happy I will be in the future as well. So it's not just like I want to be happy right now. It's just I want to be happy like in the future as well. So in that sense, I would still be like a hedonism. I would still lean to the side of the hedonism thing. But
mm,
you know, like yeah, I would consider my future happiness as well.
great.
Yeah, and like because you can make decisions, you can like plan out or have an idea of how you like what decisions you want to make, so you can
Mhm.
ensure that happiness like in the present and in the future, or
Mhm.
That's
like
why like we're not okay. I use an extreme example from the
right.
extreme hedonistic side, but I think yeah, it's true. Like towards the center, the thing is, a hedon values happiness. Like if you're leaning closer to hedonism, you value happiness over most other things. A Stoic will have will believe there's a greater meaning. Right? For example, the pagans believed in God, and like that belief drove them to sacrifice all of their everything they wanted. And oh, and talking about sacrificing the present for the future, I need to go do some studying for my test because I was being too much of a heathen the last 2 days just playing video games. So that will be it for today's episode of the Talking Table podcast. It was a fun conversation, but we will see you again next week on the Talking Table podcast. Bye.
Peace.
Bye guys.